Hi there, it's Dr. Steve Sobel, and I'm here for a very exciting and informative interview that I've been looking forward to for a long time. We have a very special guest, a very talented guest, very unique guest. Her name is Sara DeGraff, and I'm going to have a conversation with Sara. You may call it an interview, but it's a conversation about her work, about her life, and a little bit about her future. So I'd ask you to listen carefully, if I may say that, and also enjoy the interview at the same time. And I will say this to you. She has a few books, just so you can plant that in your memory. So if you want to take a piece of her with you, that's a good way to do it. And this is an interview that's been granted to me as an honor. So we're going to start that process. Sara, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing pretty well.
I'm honored for you to have me here today.
I'm very honored to be here. I've made time for you, and you've made time for me, and we will give the audience something to enhance their life and to remember. And what is interesting about her, is multi-talented. People may call her a poet. I call her a creative genius. I call her a person of vision. One of the most positive people you'll meet, meaning that deep inside her, there's a well of positivity that has affected her whole life. And let's all remember, it's not always easy to be positive, and her work reflects many, many avenues of life and herself. So can you tell us and tell the audience how you see yourself as a poet, as a writer, as a singer? What would they call Sara DeGraff if they were sitting in one of these beautiful West Hartford restaurants and say, what does she do?
They will say that she wears many hats.
She wears many hats.
Yes, because I started writing since I was about 14 years old.
Yes.
But at that time, writing was not something to be considered rewarding or in a way that will generate income.
Okay.
It was like a hobby.
Right.
So that's why, besides writing, I went to the university and then made sure that I graduated. And after I finished with I had many diplomas, so I decided now I could concentrate myself into, being a writer, because that's what I've always wanted to be and do.
You seem excited when you talk about that.
Yes, I am excited because it's a way of releasing myself, relieving stress, expressing myself,
Right.
my emotions. And I think through my writings, people can really get to know me because I write without filter.
Well, let me ask you this. Without a filter,
Yes.
you let it go. Do you think you can enhance people's lives, some of our viewers, to get them to think about where they're going in their life and to appreciate the joys or the sadness? Because you're not a typical person in terms of the depth of the work you do. Is one of your goals to make people's lives better?
Yes, because through my writing, that's why my first book is titled How to Dance with Life.
Yeah, that really struck me.
Yes, because I wanted to teach people how to make it in life. As I said in one of the interviews that I gave at that time, I thought by following all the rules,
Right.
that your life will get better. And then I realized that, life is not always like straight, linear.
Right.
It's,
It
sometimes
doesn't always follow an exact plan.
Exactly. So like they say, you make plans and then God laughs.
Oh, I used that quote today at a seminar.
Yeah, so you have to always have a plan A and then plan B, because you never know what's going to happen. So me, at that time, I only had plan A, because I thought, hey, I'm going to be in America, and then I'll go to school and I'll graduate and I'll have my bachelor from Manhattan College,
Yeah.
and then I went for my master's, and I did I went to the UN, I did an internship, and I was like top 5 in my class. And I thought, hey, you know, my life was going to be wonderful, and I was going to be making a lot of money. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what? It's not that you're wrong, but somewhere along the way you got lost. Something is missing.
See, I got a special feeling about you that you've created less boundaries for yourself, and it's going to affect your work and your second book, which we'd like to know the title of, okay?
We've got to boogie boogie until you die.
Can you say that louder? Because they
You've
won't
got
believe what you just said.
Boogie until you die. Yeah.
Which is to saying you're dancing on this earth one time.
I mean, no, not one time, because I believe in reincarnation. But this time
that
you're dancing, you know, you've got to dance well.
Right.
And you have to boogie boogie, and you have to expect the unexpected, because life is not always like what you expect is going to happen. You know, like you make plans, as I said, God laughs, because we never know what's going to happen. So you have to be ready for anything and then deal with it.
So there's a certain amount of advice that you give that spontaneity is a big word. You can be spontaneous in your life as well as planned.
But you have to be prepared.
Prepared, okay.
Yes, you have to be prepared, and you have to know that, like, be ready for anything, because anything can happen at any given moment. So you have to have someone like you to tell us, you know, what to do, because sometimes we are lost. We don't know.
Well, the audience doesn't know. I interviewed you years ago, and there is a change. Deep inside, you're a little more kid-like, meaning, I'm going to fly that kite even if the wind isn't perfect. You have changed.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yeah, I have changed, because, I mean, I have more experience now. I've been disappointed, and I've failed a few times, and I've learned from my failures. I mean, failures are not always the bad things. You know, sometimes they are lessons to be learned from them.
So it's a Friday in Connecticut right now, okay? And my question is, I don't have to use the word exciting, but what type of meaningful things are you looking forward to in the next few days that you have made your mind up to say, I'm going to look forward to these things. I'm going to take advantage of these things in the good way.
What I take advantage of during the weekend, I go to church. I go to Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is my church in West Hartford. So it's a good way to meet people and see people you have not seen for the week, or in my case for a month, because I have not been there for a month. And you socialize, and you meet people from all walks of life, and then for an hour or two, and then you go home, and then you feel fulfilled.
Well, let me ask you this, with all that rosy disposition of yours. My definition of a negative person is a person that simply by leaving the room brightens up. So, and there are people out there that are inherently negative. They can rain on your parade. Do you avoid those people? What would you tell the audience? Are you gracious and courteous to those people? Or do you always say, there are enough positive people where I don't have to dwell on negativity? I can accept it, that's their thing, but I want to be around people that are positive, want to try things, and want to have good conversations, and want to be able to look at life in a certain way. So, do you surround yourself with the right people, and how important is that for your so-called energy level?
I mean, it's good to surround yourself with positive people, but sometimes they can be fake people, because people who are smiling.
They can be fake.
They can be fake, yeah. They can be
plastic.
Exactly. They can be smiling all the time and then saying all the right things, but they're not real. And someone who appears to be negative is just crying for help. You know, there is something that's wrong. So you have to be around all kind of people, because sometimes you may be the help that they are seeking.
See, here's my feeling about you, that you've had, since I've seen you, some peak-to-peak experiences. And what I mean by that is, she, or the audience, you climb a mountain peak, P-E-A-K, that you never thought you could do. Could be writing a book, could be nourishing and enjoying a relationship. It could be taking your health better. You climb that mountain peak. You never thought you could do it. And then it allows you to P-E-E-K over the next mountain peak. So give me some feelings of what I just said to you, how that relates to you, and if it doesn't, we'll move on.
It
Peak
does.
to peak.
It's funny that you say that. In my first book,
Well, sometimes I am funny, you know.
in my first book, I wrote about a dream that I had. It was around 2000 that I was climbing a mountain.
That you had a dream.
Yeah, and it happened around 2000, and I was climbing a mountain, and then there were blood.
You were actually climbing a mountain.
Climbing a mountain, and there was that voice that told me in my dream, don't look back, you have to move forward no matter what happens. If you turn back, you will fall into a deep hole.
Well, I'm glad you had that voice.
And then my hands were bleeding, and I kept climbing.
Yeah.
And then I reached the top. And then when I got to the top, there were not too many people up there. And I said, wow. There was a man waiting for me, you know, with a big, he was an African-American man with like an African outfit.
Yeah.
And then I got there. I said, not too many people got there. So I wanted to go back now, and then I woke up. So everything that happened in that dream has been the blueprint of my life. This time,
I'm glad I asked the question.
yeah, I'm living, and I can always go back to that dream to find out exactly where I am.
So it's opened up PEEK. It's allowed you to see things in the future.
Yeah.
Saying, I want to try that. I want to do that. Because my personal feeling right now is you have probably a third or fourth book in you.
Oh yeah, more than that.
Yeah, and then you're going to help people. You're not going to sell to people. You help people by saying, these are the books you need to nourish yourself, to read.
Yes.
See, I think reading is very important. I think it's very good for mental health.
I think so too.
You know, I think that people can read a lot of things. They don't have to share it, but it gives them a positive way to spend their time and a positive way to think, because one of the truths is you become what you think about.
Exactly.
There was a greatest selling cassette tape ever. I think I might have said it when you heard me. It's called The Strangest Secret. And it's by a guy named Earl Nightingale, years ago. Not a great inspirational speaker, but his words were great. And the 6 key words are, you become, and I'll tell the audience, look it up on the internet, you become what you think about.
Yeah.
Question is, what do you think about?
Yeah.
And it seems to me there's been some changes in you. You're saying, one thing that is limited, even though you believe in reincarnation, in this lifetime, this segment, is time is finite. What lays out there could be very glorious. Maybe there is no timeline, okay? But right now you're telling people that they're in charge of their time. They're in charge of their mind.
Master of their own destiny, master of their own fate. Yes.
Was that a chapter in one of the books?
Yes.
How did I know that? I haven't even read the book. The audience says, he must have read the book. No, I'm sorry, I did not read the book. But I know her. So I'm reading the book. So you say that again, because that is
No, you are
powerful.
the master of your own fate, you know. Yes. And something that you said earlier about, I cannot recall.
Earlier today or years ago?
Just now.
Oh, okay. I wonder how good your memory was. Yeah.
I think we just
See,
touched that.
but you know what she's doing right now? Above it all, she's laughing spontaneously, not at life, but giggles are very important. You don't want to be around people too often who you can't giggle with and laugh with and joke with and be a little stupid with. You know, so I'm very, very pleased that you're giggling.
Okay, so can we go to the next question?
Yeah, well, yeah. I haven't thought of it yet, but we can go there, all right? But finish your thought. You had a thought. Let me bring you back. You said, it's something I said a little while ago.
Yeah, you said something a little while ago. You said many things, but one thing that you said I wanted to comment on,
Yes,
and
please.
then I just cannot recall. But you will get back to me. Continue.
It can get back to you anytime. You know, we can always have another interview. Yeah. Now, we talked about the mentality and perspective, and that's a lot of what you're about. Your books, are your books different? Is the second book different than the first?
Yes. The first book is a book of essays called How to Dance with Life.
It's essays.
Essays. And the second one is poems, a book of poems.
Oh.
And they are very sad, and they are very different from me because, as you can see, I'm a happy person. I'm laughing. And
I believe you are.
But my poetry, you know, is like very dark. So many people could not reconcile my book with the person that they think
Okay.
that I am. But as I said, it's like when I'm writing, I go to that sad part of me.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite poets?
Yes, I have Khalil Gibran, who's
Oh.
from Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then I read that Persian poet called Rumi from way back. And
So those
these
have
are
been-
my favorites.
Those have been influences on
Yeah, and also the French poets like Lamartine, from the French
you.
literature.
I nod my head knowingly. I've heard of each one of them. I don't know them intimately.
Mm-hmm.
But those are things that you make time for in terms of reading,
Yes.
nourishing your soul.
Yeah.
People are going to be very interested because they say, "Oh, she's upbeat. She's got this and that." You take care of yourself in a way that you're happy with now, physically.
I think I could be doing more. I'm at the point of my life now, I'm not really satisfied because I thought that with all my background I could be further, and I feel kind of stuck of where I am. I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
Because my life, I thought I was gonna be, I mean, I worked for the UN before, but I thought I was
Yeah.
gonna be in Africa somewhere.
Right.
Riding the, being in the safari and being in South Korea, doing my film because
Okay.
I would like to make movies. And, but right now it's just things are not working out the way that I had them planned. And I'm a little bit not too happy with my life right now where I am.
May I interject?
Of course.
And one of the things that I have learned is that when people want to think about things, clear their head, there's some old advice that's so simple. I always say, go for a walk. Do you go for a walk? Do you walk and just say, I'm going to think about this? Do you get out of your dwelling wherever you live and just think about this? And it could be in any sort of weather. I think walking cleans the brain as well as moves the feet.
I do sometimes, but not like when I was in New York, because I grew up in New York. I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, and then moved to Long Island. And
I know the Jamaica train station very well. It's a busy place.
And I went to university for my bachelor. I went to Manhattan,
Yes, yes.
Marymount Manhattan College. So I had to take several trains. So whether or not I wanted to, I had to, walk. But in Connecticut, it's like really difficult. So I'm always driving. If I have to go somewhere, I have to get my car and then drive and then come back. It's a
not
different
easy.
lifestyle. It's a different lifestyle than New York.
Well, some things are tough to adjust to.
Yeah.
Some things are tough to adjust to.
After I moved from Africa, I was in Africa for a while. I came back from Africa and I moved to Connecticut a year later. I was very happy because the trees and, I felt as if I were in Africa. It was like a substitute from being in Africa. And, but right now I kind of miss New York because that's where I grew up.
I call you, as I speak to you, I would call you a guiding light. And I think that the people who are watching a cable TV show, to their benefit, if they ever wanted to contact you and say, hey, look, I saw you on TV, I'd like to kind of step into your world to help my world, meaning their world, are you available to talk to meet with?
Yeah.
It could be a side of life, but it's another side of business.
Yes,
And I know you didn't expect me to ask that question,
I
but I am.
know. I would be available, but I believe in myself. But you think so highly of me. More
I do
than-
think highly of you.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because I never.
I could think of 5 people right now that should sit and talk to you and even pay you for a coaching session.
Really, I never thought that I
Well, you
could
start-
do that line of
Well,
work.
let's go back to saying you never know what you can do until you try. Then stuff knocks on the door that you didn't need to predict.
Yeah.
And you may be available to help people, not only through your writing and your work, but the overall thing is, look at the immense amount of things that you've done that may not have worked out perfectly, but they've worked out. The word perfect's very dangerous, okay?
There is no perfection.
No, and
Oh my God.
perfection leads to procrastination, which leads to paralysis. So you don't need to be perfect, but there's things that may not have worked out, as you said, to the exact degree you wanted to, but you seem to have, and I don't know where you get it, I don't have to know where you get it, but but you can affect people. You need to get, life will knock you down, but it doesn't have to knock you out. And you haven't been knocked out from what I'm looking at right now.
I've been
You've been
down, but
you've
not
been
out.
down on one knee, you know, like
Yeah.
a boxer, and
Yeah.
they said, all right, can you go on? And you come out for that last round.
Oh yeah, I'm always.
And you've been around, you've come out many rounds,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm not gonna be out of the game.
It's like a referee saying, you okay? Yeah, let me clear my head. And you know what? And then you can go on to so-called win the fight or at least accomplish something when you thought you were done. And too many people, I think they're done without finishing a project, without preparing a project. I mean, to write a book takes a lot. How do you know when to end the book? Let's take your first book. When did you know how to end that book?
You
Because
know,
that's a difficult question.
I wrote that book in 1 month. My
And I'll
my
say
first
this,
book.
you're kidding. 1 month.
1 month.
How many pages is it?
I think 82 pages, and I was in a place in Oklahoma called Stillwater, and I had a friend who had a fellowship from the State Department, a Fulbright fellowship, and I went there to visit. So I was there for maybe 2 weeks, and I
Yes.
started writing the book, and then by the time I got back to New York, it was done. And I know when a book is done, when there is nothing coming out from.
How long do you wait till you decide there's nothing coming out?
Probably a week.
You put the book aside.
Yeah. I mean, for my first book, after a week, I knew that okay, it was done.
So you let the book distill for a while.
Yes. But there are books that I've been writing for the past 15 years, and I've not done yet because I'm writing a book now. It's called Love Through the Storm, and I started
What
writing
number
it
book would that be?
probably 5.
So you've written 2 physically. So you got a lot of stuff. You got 3 more books in you.
No, I have more. I probably have 15 more books in me. I mean, I'm mistaken because
Well, why
I'm
don't you open
writing.
up your own library? We'll close down the West Hartford Library. We'll make the DeGraff Library, you know?
Yeah, I'm writing. I write constantly. Sometimes I can write 2 or 3 poems in one day. It depends. And other times I cannot even think of anything.
Your poems, do they have to rhyme?
No, they don't rhyme. No, they don't
You
have to
answered that
rhyme.
quickly.
They don't have to rhyme, but sometimes they do. It depends on, how I feel that day.
Do they have to all be a standard length, or have you created short poems? I'm going to go like
I have short.
Do you have long poems?
I have short poems, like one, my greatest view has been under the darkest sky. That's it.
Can you say that louder? Because I want the people to hear. We got
greatest-
some hearing impaired people out there.
My greatest view has been under the darkest sky. And another one, dark are the days of my life, dark are the nights of my life, so dark that time has slipped me by. And that's short. And other poems, they are long.
Well, it's interesting because I don't think I would have guessed you had a 5th book in you.
No, I have more.
And
I
you have more?
Yes, because not only my books, but I've published 2 anthologies of Black writers.
Could I get any of your books on Amazon?
Yes, Amazon's and Barnes and Nobles, and also you can get them to me.
Do you also sing?
I sing, but I'm not the one singing my poems. It's somebody from Nigeria. I work with people from Nigeria, India, and.
So they're on CD, or
You can find them on YouTube if you type Sara DeGraff.
how would we know if we didn't ask?
Yes, yes.
YouTube. Okay, you're on YouTube.
YouTube,
Right.
yeah, YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok, and all those places.
Yeah, I'm lucky I can text. You got all these.
Instagram.
Yeah, you got all these technical skills. Yeah, so since I've seen you, and it'll be interesting to interview you even years down the road, where you're at, and it's interesting your evolution to me when you invited me to say, hey, let's talk, let's sit down. There's a lot you've done since I've seen you.
I've done a lot before you met me, but we never spoke about it because, as I said earlier, I thought that I could just hide. You know, I don't know why I kept hiding myself, but right now I'm like, I don't know, not much time left. If I don't do anything now, I'm gonna die and no one is gonna know about me.
Yeah, and that's, let me interrupt you because I got excited. It's not a fatalistic view. It's a realistic view saying, let's dance now, let's talk now, let's do what we got to do. There's no such thing as perfection. My father was a watercolor artist, and one thing he said to me, and he's been gone, at least in this lifetime for years, is that he was never afraid to paint his feelings. He didn't paint for people to like the painting. He said, if they like it, that's great, but I'm going to give you the truth. And I think your books are full of truth.
Yes, and I write for me first before I write for other people.
Oh.
You know, I write to make me feel better. And sometimes I write, it's like automatic writing. I can write something now and then I go a day or two, I read it and then I said, did I write that? You know, if I did not know, if it was not my handwriting, I would not have known that I awarded.
Well, you know what? Because I've gotten this signal about coming into the home stretch with our interview. The minutes go fast, okay? And what I'd like to say is I'd like to do another interview within a short period of time, could be weeks and months, and continue to talk about it because you have depth, not only with what you've done, but to help people. They're tuning in. And I think you're only beginning to test the waters of your potential. As scary as that sounds, your potential is out there.
I've been afraid to step into the shoes of my destiny. It's very scary.
That's what it sounds. Yeah, it's very scary.
It's very scary because because of my background, and I was like, no, that cannot be me. I cannot be, you know, like so powerful.
Right.
I have so much to give, so much to say. I mean, where did they come from? Are they coming to me? And maybe, you know, I have a higher power speaking to me.
Well, I believe you do.
Yeah,
and I believe it'll come to you because you're patient and you're trusting. And I think that's reflective of the quality of your work.
Yes.
And there might be other things that you do in terms of how the poetry changes and how the stories change. And maybe some special people are going to be coming into your life that are going to be influencing your writing because you have a lot to give. You have a lot of thought to give. You have a lot of love to give. You have a lot to give in terms of confidence with people. And I think knowing that age is a number, whatever age we are, okay? I just turned 22, is not really as important as letting your brain, while you're healthy enough to do it, continue to work. And that's what I'm counting on you doing, is continuing to work and make your environment a better place. But you're going to be a world shaper.
Thank you.
And you know what? Where you end up in terms of living and everything else, I'm not saying a final destination, is going to be very, very interesting.
Thank you. And I have to thank you for that because the day I took your seminar in Hartford, that day changed my life because I was like going from room to room and then I got into your room and then I sat there and my life was never the same.
Thank you. And
So
you know, it's interesting because one of the people in my life happens to be a basketball player that I brought along, a pro player, said you're the difference maker. And I put it on a business card. I said, I was looking for something on a business card. So thank you for that too.
Yeah.
And I guess through this station, people can contact you, can contact me. This is not about me, this is about you. I want to thank Sara for being here.
Thank you.
All right, and influencing me, although she may not think that. And I want to thank the audience for spending the time and going the distance with us in what may prove to be for the audience a very important part of their day that's going to affect their future. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And we say that with love and gratitude.